Hi, I'm David Cross with US Asset Management, and I'm getting a lot of questions lately. People are asking me things like, why is the stock market up so much when the price of inflation is up so high and the price of tomatoes and groceries and gasoline is up? And we're going to take you on a little journey and just explain like what's happening here. So we're going to start back in 1971. You can see on the chart down here on the bottom left that Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971. He did that because the United States government was running out of money, and the only way that they could make more money in order to pay the bills was to print more money. And you can't do that when you're on the gold standard. So we abandoned the gold standard, and the price of gold went up significantly, but so did the money supply. And the money supply is really nothing more complex than just the dollar bills you have in your pocket, and that's just all the currency that's out there. So the chart you're looking at, the green line is the money supply. The blue line, think of that as like blue chip stocks. That's what the S&P 500 did over time. And we have in 1979, we saw the death of equities, and interest rates were really high, inflation was really high, mortgage rates were 16, 17, 18%. It was ridiculous. And President Reagan got into office, and he really wanted to help push down inflation. And Paul Volcker, who was the Fed chairman at the time, raised interest rates so high that it killed the economy briefly, and it killed inflation. So things came under control, and that was good, but they still printed money because Congress does not have enough money coming in to pay the bills. This has been going on for a long time. So if they take in this much in taxes, but they spend this much, the difference is called the deficit. And when you've got a deficit, the government has to print money to make up the difference. If you and I did that, we'd go to jail. But it's perfectly fine for the government to do it, and they do it through the Federal Reserve. So let's take a look at this journey. We're going to move forward in time. Again, the green line is the money supply, and you'll see that it tracks pretty closely with what the stock market is doing. And sometimes the stock market gets way ahead of it, like it did back here, going into 2000 and 2003. And then watch what happens. We get to the great financial crisis, and the Fed blinks, and they start printing money with wild abandon. You can watch this number go up quite a bit. And then when COVID happens, it just went berserk. They printed an enormous amount of money. And that's Fed Chairman Powell right there with his money printing machine. But what you can see is they just continue to print money. So if we take a look at this over 1971 until right now, what you'll see is that the money supply is up about 9,395%. Stocks are up about 7,264%, and they generally track each other. But think about the stock market as it's like going into a grocery store. There's only enough room on the shelves for so much merchandise. But if the government keeps printing money and they keep printing and printing and printing, then the price of those items will rise over time. And that's exactly what we've seen. When I was a kid, a candy bar was 25 cents. I would go there with my brother. We'd walk to 7-Elevens, 25, maybe 30 cents. And now if you give a kid a quarter, it doesn't buy anything. A candy bar is now like $2, even more in some places. This is why we see inflation, why we see the price of houses going up, why we see the stock market going up, is because our government continues printing money. I don't know when it's going to stop, but that's what's happening. If you have any questions, reach out to us. I'm David Cross with US Asset Management.